Well, it seemed like we've opened the gates of hell, and that gates of hell is underscores the suffering and despair that a lot of people are having with the confirmation of Matt Gaetz being the new Attorney General. So, um, you tell me what you think about Mike Johnson um, hiding information from the public about Matt Gaetz' reputation,
Matt Gates' reputation is like he was accused of serial sexual predator behavior, sex trafficking
sex trafficking.
of underage women. And who was that? Oh, yeah, the president. We can no longer even say the predecessor. It's the president now.
So you think that report should be made?
It should be made public.
It should be made public because the public have the right to know. And with him taking the position that he's in this high position, that's very a conflict to what he can bring to our government because he doesn't have the ethical behavior to be the AG.
To be the attorney general or even the qualifications. He never prosecuted a case. He never even practiced law before he was attorney general. He is the Roy Cohn, the new generation of Roy Cohn.
So there's going to be ongoing tension between the parties regarding judicial appointments and law enforcement oversight. Gates has emphasized a focus on crime and reduction and supporting law enforcement, which may shape his approach to prosecutorial discretion and the prioritization of certain types of crime. So, what do you think about that? What do you?
What it is just personal loyalty. Anybody that's career justice department, and it will be covering his crimes and the crimes of the GOP.
So you notice that everybody is not being pulled out on the basis of their intelligence, but on the basis of their what?
Basis of their loyalty and party loyalty.
And our nation will not be able to stand if we got people loyal to one person and not loyal to the Constitution or the institution of our government. So, do you think he should be confirmed?
What I think is not going to matter at this point, but he should have never, in normal times and normal behavior, he would have never been, it's not even a serious appointment. It would have never been consideration under any Democrat or Republican administration. None at all.
Well, as much as stuff leak in Washington, do you think that if they can't get a hold to the report, that some of his information will be leaked?
Well, some of it is going to be leaked because a lot of Republicans, his colleagues in the House, hate his guts. Because this is the same Matt Gaetz was behind the overthrow of Kevin McCarthy. You may not like Kevin McCarthy that much, okay? But he was the one that caused chaos in the House of Representatives.
Gates' past controversies, including legal issues and ethical scrutiny, could influence public perception and his effectiveness in the role, as well as impact his relationship with other officials. And you have just said that, a lot of people
really hate his guts, even in Congress.
and that's kind of sad. So he's going to be more of a chaos agent.
The Roy Cohn chaos agent, even worse than Roy Cohn.
So he's going to be worse than Roy Cohn. His confirmation may lead to changes in how federal and state laws enforcement agency collaborate, particularly in areas like drug enforcement and immigration. How he gonna be a drug enforcement and immigration?
He was the one that also was taking drugs, abusing drugs while he was having sex trafficking with underage women, underage girls, 17 and under, and bragged about his sexual contest when he was in Congress and when he was in the Florida legislature.
And these are the people that we got to look to say, that can run our government, and this is not good at all.
What it really says is that to the unique ability that is wrong, that if you are accused of sexual assault or sex trafficking, you can be the AG of the United States or even defense secretary or even president of the United States.
So basically, it shapes up the model that the more crime that you do, the more you will be rewarded.
Yes, the more, you will be rewarded for even more crimes.
And that's pretty bad because, coming in, like you say, you don't want to see now he's the president to fail, but it's setting us up for failure because front and center, look at all the people that has been called forth um, in to be confirmed in the different hearings. You know, you got a Kelsey Gilbert, you got uh, RFK Jr., you got Matt Gaetz, you got Pete Helzig. Now, these people here, they're not really qualified. They have no knowledge.
Not only they have no knowledge, they have behavioral problems. Like Pete Hegseth, for instance, has also accused of sexual assault. And Tulsi Gabbard that met with President Bashar al-Assad of Syria when he gassed over 10,000 of people with chemical weapons and parroted Russian propaganda.
So,
And Tulsi Gabbard used to be a Democrat too,
so,
and used to be DNC vice chairman.
so you got these people going in and out of the government, having these conversations, which they really shouldn't be having contact. It should be strictly the people that's designated to go over and talk to government officials. Because Elon Musk I don't really think that he should be going back and forth.
That's another thing. Like he to the Logan Act with the UN ambassador with Iran, and the Iranians are very pissed after the killing of Soleimani.
Okay, so all this leads to the gates of hell because if he is confirmed, then he has showed his loyalty
to one man and one man only, and that's the President of the United States. I can no longer say the predecessor. I can only say the president.
So the future's legislative agenda, Gates' position could signal potential shifts in legislature priorities, particularly around criminal justice reform and funding for law enforcement, reflecting his views and those of his political allies. Not the views of the people, but the views of
one man, the president and Matt Gaetz. That's just what in Matt Gaetz.
So the abyss to hell really kind of basically suit Matt Gaetz because this is a deep, dark, and terrifying place that we got, a place that we would be in if he was elected as the AG, and all of you seeing is just suffering and despair. And who's speaking out a lot is people on the Republican team.
It's a lot of guys on the Republican team that really hates his guts and professional attorneys that used to work in the Justice Department.
So,
with Matt Gaetz as Attorney General, there won't be the Department of Justice. It'll be the Department of Injustice and the Department of Retribution. That's what we should really be calling it. It's no longer the Department of Justice. It's the Department of Retribution and the Department of Injustice.
Do you think that any of these senators will defy the laws of gravity or defy Trump and say that they don't want Matt Gaetz in? What do you think how this call will be?
No, absolutely not. Because you have to look at who are the people that's going to be running, and based on their history, no, they're not. They support a convicted felon for president of the United States as a felon that's adjudicated sexual assaulter and 34 felony counts in New York and a traitor to the United States. They're going to support a sexual predator as long as it's in my party. And John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, he comes from the Bush years, okay? And he's a go-along, get-along type of guy. He is not, Mitch McConnell was ruthless, okay? John Thune does not have a ruthless quality in him. He's a go-along, get-along type of guy.
And the problem with Mitch McConnell, this is where we are today. If Mitch McConnell hadn't been so power-hungry, he could have stepped up to the plate and what?
And disqualified the predecessor, and we would have had a different result today.
And even worse, none of the Republicans, stepped up to say that the president was what? Unfit to
But
what?
unfit to serve, unfit to lead.
And so now this is where we are today. And even though we're taking an L, a big loss, this is not the time to give up, as Kamala Harris say. This is the time to put your gloves on and be ready to box, right?
We're going to have to be ready to box for a long time because, yes,
People seem like they want to uh, be lied to and not given the truth. And watching their response to the lie is has been monumental. But in order to get this nation back on track, what is something that you think that we could do to help get back on track? Because the Democrats, like they say, we we are for the people, and we want to hear their voice. This is not about ourselves. This is about the people of the United States. So, what do you think?
for this country to get back on track, there's going to have to be separate ways. Like for the Democrats, they need to get new leadership, especially for the Senate, for their times. Like for instance, Senator Schumer should step aside and retire from the United States Senate and replace Schumer with Alexander Ocasio-Cortez. Dick Durbin needs to retire in Illinois. He's the number 2 Democrat.
So, you think that it's time for new blood and
It's time for new blood in the Democratic Party. That's the first thing you have to do. And we cannot no longer rely. And then for Democrats, you're going to have to build new media and model things after the right wing. Not act like the right wing, but build your own echo chamber and speak every single day.
And when building that echo chamber, you got to
Speak with the echo chamber with the truth. Every single day with the truth.
not speak at the people, but
But speak to their language.
speak to the people.
To speak to the people, not at the people. And that's what the Democrats have a problem with as well.
They're constantly talking about messaging.
They're messaging, but they're talking at you and not talking to you.
One of the things that I don't think the Democrats, and I'm not trying to place blame because everybody is pointing fingers and saying Kamala should have did this should have went this way, X, Y, and Z. It doesn't matter. But what really matters is explain what a lie really is. And you don't have to do this on your video. That's something that I want to carry over to my video.
Yeah.
So shout out to iHip.
And support independent media and build your own independent media. Shout out to iHip, Adam Mockender, Brian Tyron Cohn, The Bulwark,
Midas
Touch.
No. And there are many, many more podcasts.
Many more podcasts out there, and make your own podcast and your own YouTube channel. That's the first thing. And we also need to stop relying on the mainstream media, like the legacy media, like the Washington Post, the New York Times, and the LA Times, the corporate media. And one thing that MAGA and the progressives can agree on is that corporate media has failed. They're done. You can no longer rely on corporate media. And the people that read the Washington Post, they're with us to begin with anyway.
Yeah.
You need to be listening to podcasts and making your own podcast. Because the average person in prime time that listens to MSNBC or any other cable news is 2 million people. When the president went on Joe Rogan's show, 40 to 50 million people reached. Okay? So we need to stop. We need to have our own podcast.
And speaking of that, let's go back to Joe Rogan. Do you think Joe Rogan really helped the situation when he said that, certain people forced him into endorsing the president, when he let him sit there for 3 hours and...
No, he did not help at all. No. He was just about his viewers and his subscribers. No, it wasn't. And the thing about Joe Rogan was he was a Bernie Sanders supporter. And then we also got an educational problem, a civics problem in our country as well. Some people that voted for Trump also voted for some Democrats at the down ballot. Like there were some that supported Trump, the president, and also voted for Alexander Ocasio-Cortez. People that voted for Trump also voted for Bernie Sanders. Some people that voted for Trump in Arizona, they voted for Ruben Guerrero in Arizona.
Okay. So... the message is out there, and the message should be that we should go forward with the truth. We don't take off our boxing gloves. Um, we just, like I say, we accept the loss. We need the time to reflect. Once we reflect and accept the truth, then it's time to um, stand up and not
And
roll over, you know, not stand up for what you believe, go forward and put, like I say, keep your boxing gloves on and just fight a good fight. Fight a good, and just let them know that you're not about to roll over. You're not. So this is for the Constitution, rule of law, not for one individual person. And what else would you like to say, Rondell?
what I would like to say is that the 40 that we're going to have to do whatever we can to reverse the gap that is now closed. The 46% of Hispanics that voted for the president, the 53% of white women that voted for the president, that the gap is closed, and we're going to have to do what we can to reverse closing that gap between intentional and unintentional behavior.
Okay. And the young man on his podcast that always say justice matter.
Gwen Kirshner.
Well,
Well, we're going to say on our podcast, we're never going to say life is subscribed. We have a new slogan: mental health matters.
mental health matters. And we've seen a lot of this play out. And so not only does mental health matters, a reason and a purpose for your existence really matters. Your mission, your journey, your fight, it matters. It all matters. And sometimes it takes a loss to make a person go forward and to recover themselves. You get knocked down, and as they say, you will get back up. But when you get back up, you have such a great lesson that you have learned. And in this lesson that we have learned, uh, they went out, talked to people, and
And the
one
lesson that we need to be learning is to talk to that person and simplify and not talk at them.
And if you notice the president's cabinet, a lot of these people are not qualified nor have the
No,
education.
not only the education, they don't even have the behavior or ethics.
And shout out to George Conway, because one thing George Conway knew going in, he took the time out of his life to learn um, about the behavior of the
Of the
president,
president, which is
and also did I think it was Kelly. Kelly decided to get a book and learn about the president's behavior to help him understand what he was up
General
against,
Kelly, yeah.
General Kelly. And thank God we were on the opposite end of the spectrum, because we've not only had the opportunity to read and learn about the president's behavior, we've actually had the opportunity to live.
To live in contrast between intentional versus unintentional behavior. And we're going to be talking more about that, intentional versus unintentional behavior, and to reverse closing that gap, because the gap is closed.
Well, it's not permanently closed.
It's not permanently closed.
And I kind of disagree with that, and it's okay to disagree. But what I'm saying is that's how you feel. Now, the way I feel is sometimes we get gaps and we not close the gaps, but we have to make sure that we put something in place so that so that we can benefit and not have as many gaps, because this is a lesson where um, everything was unprecedented. Now you get the opportunity to step back and reflect and see, what is it that we do need to close and what is it that we need to keep open, and how can we go forward, to, strengthen our nation, or how can we go forward to let the people in America know that education is very important.
And reading is also very important as well, because most of the 50, and this is one of the most disturbing statistics, and this is a golden nugget, 50% reads only at a 6th grade level.
Right. And one of the things we were looking at IHIP, that was the initial stand for what?
I had enough.
I had enough. Well, one of the things on when we were looking at that particular podcast is they wanted the American people to really know the damage of what a lie can do. So that's something that I wanted, like I said, to explore the contributory factors of a lie, which has kind of put us there, put us in this place today. So shout out to iHip and the many other podcasts that has contributed to the truth. The truth needs to be told, and a lie needs to be pointed out. So, on that note, uh, we're going to go back to the gates of hell has been opened, and the suffering, the despair, the deepest, darkest part of evil is out front, and this would probably be a litmus test for the Republicans to see who will stand with the president and who will, you know, uh, say that this is a person that we don't feel is qualified, from RFK to um, Kelsey Gilbert to Matt Gaetz to Pete Hegseth. How would that look? Can they take a stand? Can they say that these are people that we feel that might endanger our country more?
I will answer this, and I'm going to answer this. Based on their history, the answer to that is absolutely not.
Absolutely not what?
They're not going to stand up.
Okay.
They're not going to stand up.
So that's showing that they're not coming in.
Based on their history, based on what McConnell did in Kentucky with Trump, with the president the first time, with the insurrectionists. Based on their past behavior, they're not going to stand up.
So this doesn't show that they're strong. This shows that they're
they are pathetic. They're worse than weak.
Mm-hmm. So the bottom line here is, on that note, we just want to thank all the channels,
the truth-telling channels out there
that's building their
building their channels based on the truth.
And don't give up.
Don't give up and fight every single day. And we know our mental health channel, we're going to be standing up, especially against fighting against RFK. Because that's health. Because what he's doing, I hate Big Pharma as much as anybody, okay? But I'm not willing to shut down disease control to do it.
Okay. So,
or blowing up our healthcare system just to go after Big Pharma and the big drug companies. I'm not willing to blow up that. I'm not going that far.
So we may feel like we are in a dark moment at this time, but there is always light. There always is hope. And the gates of hell, the people on that side, that would be the abyss. That is the darkening moment. And we're more to the light and more to the truth. And that truth needs to be told.
It needs to be told on an everyday basis, whether it's going to be on podcasts, on YouTube, even if you're slowed down every day. It's going to be hard days ahead, but you got to pound that truth on an everyday basis, 24/7. And the truth can never take off.
And one of the things that I know you use misinformation, disinformation.
I use the word lie and bald-faced lie. I don't even use the word misinformation. No. We need to stop saying the word misinformation or disinformation. It's lies and bald-faced lies. That's it.
So
stop prettying up that language.
Because that's something that I noticed that a lot of times we're not allowed to say certain words and block them out. But the people need to hear.
They need to hear the words, certain words, and we need to stop worrying about, it's going to be the consequences if we say certain words. Say those certain words and take the penalty. That's what I would do. That's what me as a unique ability, that they say certain words and they take the penalty.
Okay. So on one side of the chart, you have a person that may be extremist and lie all the time, and on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have
example like me that tells the truth all the time, 24/7, that will give it to you straight. And it's going to give it to you straight, and it's not going to tell you what you're going to hear. Yes, you're going to lose friends because the truth don't have friends.
Right. So On that note, we're going to close out on the gates of hell. Once again, the abyss of hell often evokes imaginary imagery of deep, dark, and terrifying places associated with suffering and despair. It can be found in a lot of terms in context, religious, philosophical, symbolizing a profound sense of hopelessness. Once again, hopelessness. And our side, the Democratic side, for we the people, doesn't need to feel hopeless at this point because
That's what a dictatorship is the hopelessness. And we cannot give in to hopelessness.
all right,
We
so
need to, if you want to get a real pep talk, listen to Malcolm Nance.
he's another one that we do
Yeah,
listen to.
we listen to Malcolm Nance, even on the political network with Stephanie Miller. If you are feeling really hopeless, listen to Malcolm Nance.
Okay, and so we're just letting you know that we're watching. And for all those who want to continue building your channels, continue to build your channels.
But build your channels based on principle and based on the truth. Not no likes and subscribe. Because building our channels on likes and subscribe got us in this mess in the first place.
And what did they do as soon as the election was over? A lot of people begin to drop off on some of these.
On these channels and taking away a lot of their subscribers.
And also, I would like to thank, once again, the Bulwark, I think Tim. Is it
Tim Miller. Tim Miller used to work for Jeb Bush.
I would like to thank David Packman for bringing on, it was a couple of months ago, we had he had brought on Steve Hassan, who had the book, The What?
The Cult of Trump.
I would like to thank Midas Touch for bringing on one of the doctors,
Dr. Samuel Lee, that was called The Dangers of Trump.
Yeah. So they're putting that information out there. We need to pay attention and we need to educate ourselves so that we can understand the behaviors and how to
not just understand, but how to combat those behaviors, and especially when you're having young children.
yeah, and learn how to talk to people that's in whose mindset is in this particular predecessors group.
And now the president's group, because I cannot no longer say the predecessor.
Okay, so on that note, we're going to continue to watch.
We're going to continue to watch. We're going to continue to read. And we're going to continue on everyday basis.
Well, we may not get there every day.
We may not get there every day, but we're going to be on as constantly as our schedule as we can to counter intentional behavior, because this is going to be 4 years of intentional behavior.
And we're not, I know the channels say like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, but I'm not going to even say like and subscribe. We're going to have, this is going to be our new slogan for now on, audience. Mental health matters.
And
mental health and physical health matters. Mental health matters, health matters.
And taking that loss, taking that L, puts us in a new category for learning how to rise up above this loss. It takes on a new lesson of learning, and it gives you so much purpose and reason of existence for we the people and our nation, the Constitution, the rule of law. And we're going to close out with one of my favorite words is raison d'etre, a reason and a purpose. And we have a strong reason, and we have to come together to gather everyone and say, don't give up. Put those boxing gloves on and let's get at it. So let's go, and we're out.
We're out.